there, Shakers, and welcome back to another episode of Worth Your Salt, the podcast that's here to supercharge your marketing in the health and wellness space. I'm Jennifer Oraqua, a StoryBrand certified coach, and over the past 2 decades, my team and I have tested, iterated, and figured out what it takes to market and grow so you don't have to. Now, I'm here to help you apply the marketing systems that truly work. At Salt Marketing, we're all about helping wellness practitioners like you build trust, authority, and a nonstop flow of clients. So if you're ready to take your practice to the next level, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Today on Worth Your Salt, I am thrilled to welcome Kayley Hamilton, a 2-time Emmy Award-winning former Hollywood red carpet reporter who swapped interviewing A-list stars at the Oscars and the Grammys and the Emmys for a powerful mission, helping purpose-driven wellness founders become thought leader celebrities in their space. Through her agency, Up-Level Agency, Kayley has cracked the code on how to build visibility, trust, and influence. And she's here to show you how the same strategies that made Taylor Swift a global icon can be the blueprint for becoming the go-to name in your industry. So if you've ever wondered how to step into the spotlight without sacrificing authenticity, stay tuned. This episode is for you. Kayley, welcome to Worth Your Salt.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So, Kayley, we usually like to start with a little bit of a backstory on Worth Your Salt, and you certainly have an interesting one. So I'm wondering, you've gone from interviewing A-list celebrities on the red carpet to helping wellness founders build their own spotlight. What inspired that transition?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, I grew up the shy girl in school, very quiet, really insecure. But then there was another part of me that was obsessed with Hollywood. The red carpets, the spotlight, and more so the people behind the celebrities. I was just really just obsessed with celebrities, and because they felt like such a stark contrast to me and my life, I couldn't even raise my hand in class. But I loved watching Entertainment Tonight. Every night after dinner with my mom, I would read Us Weekly magazine every weekend. And I was obsessed with them, not because I wanted to be a celebrity or a singer or an actress. I wanted to be the person interviewing these celebrities, because to me, they were like aliens. Like, they were on the world's biggest stage, and I just couldn't wrap my mind around the level of confidence that these people, that it took for them to put themselves out there and be on a global stage. And I was just so curious to meet them, to interview them. I'm naturally curious. And so I wanted to be a journalist. I exactly wanted to interview celebrities on red carpets. And so I really tried to work on rewiring how I identified myself as the shy girl in school, and just kept my eyes on the prize of, okay, when I graduate, I want to move to California. I want to eventually break into Hollywood and be a red carpet reporter. And so that's literally what I did. I moved to California. I got my first internship during college as an intern at Entertainment Tonight, of all places. It was just so kismet and wonderful. And I ended up working there for over 4 years. And then I moved over to Us Weekly magazine. Literally all of my childhood dreams were coming true. And I pushed myself so outside my comfort zone. And also, looking back in hindsight, I realized what kind of mindset work, manifestation work I was doing back then that I didn't realize then. And just, I made my dreams come true and interviewed the biggest celebrities on the biggest red carpets, the Oscars, the Grammys, the Emmys, all the things, won 2 Emmy Awards myself. And then it was during COVID, of course, everything changed, everything transitioned. I was kind of in the in-between of, okay, now that I'm not working red carpets, they're all shut down. What am I doing? Did I kind of accomplish my childhood dreams? I felt like I was kind of outgrowing that dream that I had growing up, but I didn't know what was next. I was going through a breakup that year as well. I was turning 30 that year. It was like just one of those pivotal years where being in lockdown really did allow me the space to get grounded and think about what I wanted for my future, and also just be also completely terrified of what was happening and what was going to come up next for me. And I say that one podcast interview changed my entire life that year. And it was Dr. Joe Dispenza on the Goop podcast with Gwyneth Paltrow. And he's a neuroscientist, he's a lecturer. He speaks all about meditation, mindfulness, and his work just blew my mind wide open. And learning from him, he changed the whole trajectory of my life. I started a meditation practice. I started using all of his tools and expertise in my life and crafting what my future dream life, what the next chapter really looked like. I stopped drinking alcohol. I just like really went deep into this self-development journey that helped me get to the next level that I wanted to get to. And so with that, I realized, okay, number one, I want to work with people like Dr. Joe, who have such incredible and inspiring expertise that I know can help so many people. So people like him, people who are wellness experts, people who are founders of wellness and health businesses, mindset, they became my new celebrities. I was obsessed. So I was like, I want to work with them. And I was just so grateful that he made himself visible on these big media platforms by going on a huge podcast, because it allowed me to be able to find him. Like I felt like he showed up for me and he changed my life. And with my background in the media, I was like, okay, I know how to get people in the media. I know exactly how it works. I also understand the power of media visibility, how it can change lives, change businesses. And so that was my epiphany moment. I put two and two together and was like, yes, I want to start a PR agency and work with incredible, inspiring, purpose-driven founders and help them leverage the power of media exposure to reach the audiences who need to hear their message. And so that's what I do today.
I love that. What an amazing trajectory. And you're going to have to share the link to that episode so that the rest of us can go listen to it also.
Yes,
but I want to go back to something you were saying at the beginning about how as a child you were sort of inspired with the charisma and the confidence that celebrities have. I mean, you've seen fame from the inside now. So what have you discovered that successful celebrities kind of understand about visibility that wellness founders might overlook?
Oh my gosh. Well, they understand the power of consistent visibility, like the celebrities who know how to bring in audiences. First of all, they are their own brands. They are not competing with anyone. It's like Beyonce versus Taylor Swift. Like there's no competition there because they are their own complete entities. And so I think number one is they know how to position themselves in a way that is so unique and so special and so authentically themselves that there is no other competition. And people are going to come out to watch that person and be entertained by that person. And the other thing is consistency and like consistency in visibility. So showing up in the media just all the time, showing up on social media, showing up for your people and not just kind of coming out of the woodworks every once in a while and hoping that one thing will kind of hit. They're really good at being consistent and also just owning their niche. Like really, I guess that goes back to the branding. It's like owning what their super unique, special thing is, their kind of magic that they're able to bring to this world. And that by default makes them magnetic to the people who really resonate with that and really are, really feel that. And I can go into my whole like Taylor Swift method, but transparency is another one. I think the celebrities who truly are so authentic and genuine, and when they give interviews, they kind of lay it all out on the table. And they're really open about their personal lives. Like with Taylor Swift, we always know who she's dating, when she got engaged. She's always so open and vulnerable about her personal life. And so I think transparency is another one that celebrities do really well. And that they do that because it makes them so relatable to us. So when we hear a story about them being a dad or them with their kids, it's like, oh my gosh, that's so sweet. That reminds me of me with my kids, something like that. So those are a few things that I noticed with celebrities that just really make them stand out and be successful.
Yeah, and I love that about Taylor Swift, how she makes us all feel like she's our bestie, like she gets us because she's sharing in such a genuine and authentic way. But what I do find with our listeners and our clients, oftentimes in the wellness space, when they hear the phrase personal brand, they think of vanity or self-promotion. So how do you define personal branding in a way that really feels authentic and service-driven?
With personal branding, it's really a shift in your mindset and a shift in your perspective. So rather than, and this is so natural, it's like we think about personal branding, we think about, oh my gosh, it's all about me. I have to step into the spotlight. I have to do all these things and have all these eyes on me. Like that starts to trigger fear and anxiety for a lot of people. And that's just kind of like the surface level of it. Like that's kind of the ego talking. And we want to go deeper than that. It's like, what's the deeper why? why do we need to build a personal brand and get visible? And it's because there are so many people who need to hear your message and who need to work with you and be helped by you. It's like if Dr. Joe Dispenza didn't have his personal brand and put himself out there, I would have never found him. I never would have resonated with him. Or maybe I would have found another person who speaks on similar topics as him, but I wouldn't have resonated as much and it wouldn't have impacted my life. Like I was meant to work with and learn directly from specifically Dr. Joe Dispenza. And so for you with a personal brand, we also have to remember that, yes, we have knowledge and expertise that can help so many people, but there are very specific people who will want to work with us specifically and just want to be in our energy and our aura and be magnetized to us through the lens in which we look at life and the way that we teach. And again, the transparency, maybe there's something about us that really resonates with the people who will work with us. So it goes back to the service of helping other people rather than the thought of, oh gosh, I have to step into the spotlight and like turn on this thing and be someone different. It's really getting deeper to the deeper why of, okay, I want to help a lot of people. And I also want to help myself. I want to get to my deeper mission. And my mission is to make a big impact. And so having this personal brand is what is going to help with that.
I love that. And anyone in this industry knows that they didn't get into it to be celebrity or to make money. They got into it to help people. And so if you look at it that you are, building your own personal brand in service of that mission, I think that mindset's a huge shift. One thing that I often hear from people is I'm not ready for that. Like I'm not a thought leader. I'm not ready for that. So what are some early signs that a practitioner or a founder might be ready to step into a more visible role in terms of their personal brand and their thought leadership?
Yeah. If you're feeling like you're not ready, start to make yourself ready. Start to think like a thought leader. And you want to start with your owned platform. So with media exposure, that's next level, bigger platforms. Those are quote unquote earned media. And so those are third-party endorsements. Those are other people's audiences. But you first want to leverage your own audiences and leverage your own platform. So that's on social media, that's on your website. I think the first step is to think like a thought leader when you write your about section on your website, when you get new headshots, like invest in a nice photo shoot where you really embody the thought leader version of yourself. Put those on your website, have your nice bio, any credentials, like lead with your credentials, lead with the work that you've done, the transformations you've facilitated, your unique expertise. And when you think of thought leaders, they always they look polished. Their content is polished. They always lead with their credentials and the transformations that they have facilitated and basically anything that's impressive. So just start to think like that and start to tweak things like your website bio, your Instagram bio. And as you start to make content, start to think through the lens of thought leadership. And thought leadership is owning a really unique, specific expertise. So if you're in the wellness industry, of course, you think, oh my gosh, if you zoom out so much and you're like, this is such a saturated space, there's so many different experts. You have a really specific expertise. And so start to zoom in on what you're really good at and what you really love and get really specific on what that is and really own that specific niche. You don't want to try to own, I'm just a nutritionist or I'm just a fitness coach. It's like, I'm a specific nutritionist or fitness coach who helps women in midlife who are going through menopause, something very unique. So own that. I would also start to own your story, your backstory. Why did you get into this work in the first place? And again, think through the lens of a thought leader. They always have that backstory that ties to their mission. And this goes back to the transparency. What is it about your backstory and what you've gone through? Share that and share what has led to the work that you do today. And then when it comes to your content, think like a thought leader as well. So start to share things like your opinions. Being a thought leader, it's really important to have a strong opinion and to advocate for something and to stand for something and stand against something else. So start to really hone your differing opinions. If there's something happening, even like in the news or in your industry, or something that you want to speak about where you have an opinion, or if there's something where something's not being talked about and you're like, why is nobody talking about this? I know it's happening with my clients or in my niche expertise industry. You should own that topic and own your experience and your opinion and share that on your social media. So that would be the first step, is, like I said, switch your mindset and think like a thought leader, elevate to the platforms that you already own, your website and your socials, and start to create content like a thought leader.
Such great advice. I love that. And I love the idea of your personal brand as a differentiator. Like, this is how you separate yourself in the market from everybody else who might just look like exactly like you. Use your personal brand. That's fantastic advice. I love that.
Oh, thank you. Yes, definitely.
All right, Kayley, we need to take a quick sponsorship break right now. When we come back, I want to turn our attention to how this really plays out in the wellness world. What does it look like for a wellness practitioner to build a brand that isn't just seen, but it's heard and trusted? We'll be right back.
You're a wellness practitioner, not a marketer. You don't have time to learn Google or Meta ads between serving patients. At the same time, how can you find an agency you can trust? Someone who actually gets your business, respects your budget, and creates a strategy customized to your specific needs? I want to introduce you to Andy Junitas with PPC Pitbulls. Andy helps small businesses grow sustainably with paid ads, no long-term contracts, no wasted budget, just measurable results and complete transparency. Head to ppcpitbulls.com/salt to book a free 30-minute strategy session. Andy will give you clarity on your next best step, whether you work together or not. That's ppcpitbulls.com/salt.
We're back here on the Worth Your Salt podcast with Kayley Hamilton of Up-Level Agency. And so, Kayley, lots of wellness experts are incredible at what they do, but they hesitate to be in the spotlight. I find this, I invite people to come on the podcast and they're like, no, that's not me. Why do you think that is? Yeah. How can they overcome that?
Oh my gosh. It can be, it always comes from fear and fear of being seen. And I think to overcome that is to start practicing on the platforms that you own. So just like I said, start sharing content on your own platforms. It's just practice. Like, the more, what's the phrase? It's like the more sold you are, the more you can sell. So the more practice that you have kind of selling yourself, honing your unique expertise, honing your thought leadership, the more confidence you'll have in speaking about that on bigger platforms. So I would say, share that content on your social media and start to think like a thought leader. And then also the perspective shift of, it's actually not about me. Who's the audience on the other side of the podcast that I'm being invited on? And I know that there's people that are going to hear my episode and really get value from it and walk away with a lot. And maybe they'll work with me now, maybe they'll work with me later, but it doesn't matter. What I want is to just leave it all on the table and give as much value as possible so I can make an impact and help people.
I hope everybody heard what you just said. It's not about you. And we teach that in our marketing. And when we talk about, what's on your website, like we just put out a post recently that was all about, if the first line of your website says we need to talk. So, that's the same thing. Like, you're putting yourself out there, but it's in service to others. And so realizing that it's not about you, that's just such fantastic advice. So you developed your 3E confidence method. Can you walk us through how that works in practice for somebody who might be nervous about visibility?
Definitely. And I reverse kind of engineered this, or I looked back in hindsight, connected the dots looking backwards. And I realized this is what I was doing when I was young and growing up, and really trying to not identify with the quiet, shy girl. Because if I wanted to be someone who was out on the biggest red carpets, interviewing the biggest celebrities, I knew that identity was not going to help me. So I developed my 3E method, and it's, starts with the first E, which is expander. So that means finding an expander, researching and finding someone who is already living your dream life. And it doesn't have to be one specific person. You can kind of take things from other people. But for me growing up, and this is me, in middle school, high school, I was obsessed with the show Laguna Beach on MTV and then The Hills. And so I really loved like Lauren Conrad, and I saw her life entering the entertainment scene, working red carpets in Hollywood. And so to me, she was a huge expander because I saw behind the curtain of what her life was working where I wanted to work. Even the fun things she did on the weekends, I was like, wow, she's living the life, the dream life that I want, and she's doing what I want. And so, yeah, she was an expander for me. And so just finding that person or that handful of people, and this kind of is like a vision board too, and you can do this visually, is like grabbing different things from different people that exemplify your dream, who you want to embody, how you want to show up, and who you want to be. And it's so important to have an expander because that proves to your brain that it is possible. And so that's my first E. The second E is experience. And this goes into kind of like meditation. And it's visualizing that dream scenario, that next level version of myself until it feels real. And I realized I was doing this when I would kind of daydream or zone out in class. And I would love to daydream and zone out because I would get so into putting myself in the future scenario that I realized I was manifesting, that it literally felt real to the point where I was like, this is so fun. This feels so good. So the second E, like I said, is experience. Just try to visualize it until that experience really feels real, and take the time to do that. And then the third E is embody. And so this is becoming the future version of yourself now. So it's looking at your habits, looking at the way that you respond and react to things, kind of zooming out and looking at your thought patterns and making the decision every day, every hour, every minute to, as best as you can, embody that version of yourself. The wellness founder who has a really strong personal brand, who's being invited onto podcasts, who's absolutely crushing their podcast interviews, who's impacting so many people, getting so many comments and feedback and emails being like, oh my gosh, I heard you on this podcast. You are so incredible. Really embodying that person every moment that you can. And of course, you're going to fall off and you'll go back to your old habits. That's totally fine. Just remembering to get back on the horse and remind yourself, okay, who am I embodying? I'm embodying the thought leader version of myself. So those are my 3E confidence method framework: is expander, experience, and embody.
And I love how much of that is sort of visioning and manifesting, where you want to go. And clearly you're a fantastic example of that working. So we could definitely lean into that. We've kind of alluded to Taylor Swift a few times, and I know you have a Taylor Swift method for wellness founders. What is that? And how does it help practitioners stand out in a crowded field?
Oh my gosh. So if a practitioner is struggling with how to create their personal brand and they just have all these questions, they don't know where to start, this Taylor Swift method is going to help you so much. So it spells out Taylor, Taylor. So I'm going to go through each letter. And the T, the first one, is what I've mentioned before, which is transparency. So you want to let your audience see the human behind kind of the highlight reel, just the stuff that you're putting out there. So you want to share the behind the scenes moments, things like your lessons, your honest thoughts on things, because relatability is going to be your superpower. And this is what I discovered when interviewing celebrities. And you want people to see you and consume your content and think, oh my gosh, that's so me. I so relate to that. I love that. I totally get it. And with that, you've built that instant connection and that emotional trust. So with Taylor Swift, she's super vulnerable in her storytelling, in her journal entry type lyrics. She's super transparent with her personal life. So T is for transparency. That's the first one. A is for advocacy. So this is standing for something. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier about having an opinion. You want to stand for something and stand against something else. And so you really want to clarify your beliefs, your values, your perspectives. Because thought leaders, if you think about them, they're not thought leaders because they're neutral, because they're kind of vanilla on everything. They have a really clear stance that magnetizes the right people to them and then also repels the wrong people. And that, for the people pleasers out there, who is definitely me, that might be a little scary. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to repel people. I want everyone to like me. But it's good to repel people. You don't want the wrong people in your energy and trying to work with you and be around you anyway. It's fine. And so with Taylor Swift, we all know that she advocates for artists' rights, for female empowerment. And so she really takes a stance there. And then the Y is your signature. So this one is really fun. This is you defining your signature identity. So first of all, it's your recognizable look. And then the second one is your recognizable kind of vibe, energy, personality that instantly makes you really memorable. So visually, this can be something like your signature style. With Mel Robbins, we all know that she has the big black thick framed glasses and the straight blonde hair. So even just thinking about what's my signature look, and if someone were to dress up as me for Halloween, what would they look like? And really own that look. And then the second part of your signature is your personality, your energy. Do you lead with humor? Do you lead with warmth? Are you known for being just like really calm? Or maybe you have like a quirky part to your personality, just anything unique that people will mentally associate you with. And with Taylor Swift, we all know that she wears the red lipstick. She has the sparkly outfits, the sparkly guitar. She can be really sarcastic, really goofy. And so that's really her signature. And so that's the Y is your signature. And then for the L, we have leverage association. So this means to strategically kind of brand up and align yourself with people or platforms or brands that are bigger than yours. And you want to do this because you're able to borrow their credibility, borrow their audience, get in front of their audience, and amplify your visibility in doing that. And it's also helpful because proximity to power really does help elevate your perceived authority, your personal brand. And with Taylor Swift, she did this early in her career when she, first of all, had the song called Tim McGraw, and then she started opening for Tim McGraw. Everyone knew Tim McGraw in the country space. And then comes Taylor Swift, and that was a lot of people's first introduction to her. And then a lot of people have branded up and leveraged association with Taylor Swift. Ed Sheeran started opening for her and he blew up. Sabrina Carpenter, so many people in their association with her have really stepped into their own because of being associated with Taylor Swift. So that's the L is leverage association. And two more, we have O is for omnipresence. And so this is really being everywhere that your audience is, because consistency compounds authority. We want to be just always on our clients' minds. And this is something interesting. Google recently did research on this, and they found the 7-11-4 rule. And they found that someone will buy from you or work with you if they've spent 7 hours engaging with you, 11 different interactions, so 11 different times in 4 different locations. So that could be engaging with your Instagram reels, listening to you on a podcast interview, things like that. And from there, you really build that parasocial trust that turns strangers into super fans. They feel like they know you, even though technically you're a stranger. And so with Taylor, of course, she's so consistent in her visibility across albums and eras and the media, and just really showing up and making people feel like they know you and like you are their friend, even though you've never technically met. And then last is the R, and this stands for being recognized for one thing. So this is owning your signature talent and your niche expertise. And it's that one thing that you're known for. So the goal is for your name to really be synonymous with your mastery and what you're known for. So this can be, I have an example, we have a client who is a dermatologist, but she specifically is a dermatologist who specializes in diverse skin tones. And that is what she owns. That's her platform. That's what she's the best at. And that's what she is recognized for. And for Taylor Swift, she's of course recognized for being the girly pop singer-songwriter. I have another client who she's a fitness coach. She's a nutritionist, but her recognizable one thing is that and I gave this example earlier, she specifically helps women who are in midlife and going through menopause and want to become healthier. And so that's her one thing. So that's my Taylor Swift method, TAYLOR. And I think it could be really helpful for people who are just trying to figure it out and just to go through the framework and answer each question for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to revisit the O though, being omnipresent. I mean, for somebody who's listening, they're just thinking about, okay, I really need to put myself out there a little bit more in service to others. Where should they begin other than hiring you, of course, but where should they begin? A podcast? Do they need to do PR? Do we get on social? How do you choose the right platform for your voice?
That's such a good question. And especially if you're just beginning, we don't want to try to do too many things at once. It's like really honing in on where are my ideal clients already hanging out and consuming media? It's probably on social media. And so I think starting out with social media and being consistent there is the perfect place to start, because that also helps you hone in and dial in your personal brand story. It helps you get more confident in speaking and dialing in your expertise and opinions and sharing your thoughts. But I think it's number one, deciding who you're targeting and deciding and figuring out where they are consuming the most content. Where are they, and showing up where they are. And then of course, having that funnel to nurture them. So from social media, you want to make sure you of course have that lead magnet, and then people bring them into your email. And even if you're just sending one email out per week or per month, having that nurture process. So when they clearly have shown interest in wanting to work with you, then you've already brought them into your world. And so then you want to give them the opportunity to go deeper. And that can be just one email per week, giving them a behind the scenes of what you're working on, what's happening, what you can do for them. And that lead magnet is, of course, something free and valuable, really valuable, that they get a lot of value from. But yeah, I would say starting off on social media would be number one. And then once you feel like you have that kind of dialed in, then the next step would be leveraging other people's audiences. And that doesn't have to be hiring a PR agency to pitch you to all these big podcasts and articles. It can literally be connecting with people in your own network, being like, I offer this value. I have this expertise. I can really help this specific type of podcast audience and give all of this great information. Do any of you host a podcast, or any of you looking for a guest? And just leverage the connections that you already have and start to get your feet wet on, I think podcasts would be a great next step.
Yeah. And that's really good advice to work for other people's audiences. How do you connect and how do you find somebody with similar audiences to yours? I think that's really good advice.
Yeah.
All right, Kayley, it's time for another quick break. We're going to be right back after this. You're listening to the Worth Your Salt podcast, and today I'm talking with Kayley Hamilton, who's given us a powerful glimpse into why visibility matters, especially for wellness, and how your own Taylor Swift moment could be right around the corner. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so be sure to join us over on Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook, and let us know how you're working to become a standout household name leader in your space. We're back. And so before the break, Kayley, you were showing us how your 3E confidence method and your celebrity level frameworks really help wellness founders step into the spotlight with intention and impact. So with that foundation laid, I want to explore how our listeners can take those insights and really leverage them to the benefit of themselves, their clients, and the industry as a whole. And we were talking about Taylor Swift before the break. I think we can all agree that Taylor Swift is a master of connection. So what can wellness founders learn from the way she cultivates her fan base?
So I think getting clear on what your story is. Like before going into interviews, my team and I put together for all of our clients a blueprint. And basically it's getting really clear after you know what your unique expertise is, you know who your target audience is, who you're speaking to, you know what your goal is in what you're doing. Then you want to dial it in a little further and get clear on the blueprint of the conversation that you want to have. And so with Taylor Swift, she always comes back to her kind of signature topics of being a girl, being, dating, being an empowered woman. And so with our clients, we put together a blueprint before they go into interviews where they have, and we together have dialed in things like their signature story. So this is the fun part because it helps you get really clear on how to articulate your story. Because when you go into interviews and someone asks, oh my gosh, how did you get from where you were to where you are today? And to the person on the other side, that can be such a big loaded question. It's like, where do I even start? What we do with our clients is we pull out their 5 key signature talking points that go over what are the 5 things, the 5 steps that led me from where I was to where I am today, and kind of honed in on what that mission was. And so getting clear on what those five key signature story topics are about you and your story. Getting really clear on your teaching topics is another one. So if you have your unique niche expertise, it's going one layer deeper and pulling out, okay, what are the top 3 to 5 teaching topics that I can really go deep on under that umbrella of my niche expertise? So teaching topics is another one. Frameworks is another one. So what's really helpful for thought leaders specifically, and this goes back to Taylor Swift, it's like she has songs that everyone can quote, and there's meaning behind different lyrics, and we all know what they stand for. So with thought leaders, what you want to have is a really unique framework that is specific to you, kind of like my Taylor Swift framework, but it is specific to you and your unique expertise. And so when people think of you, they're like, oh yeah, that's the person. She had this really cool framework that really helped me do X, Y, Z. And so a framework can be something like an alliteration or just certain steps, something like that. So yeah, I would say that I would start with those 3, kind of figuring out what your 5 key signature story topics are, figuring out what your teaching topics are, and figuring out your framework, and just really dialing all of that in. Because once you have that dialed in, then you can really go all in, and people will start to remember you for your unique expertise.
I love that. And we've talked a lot about how to get started. What are the first steps and that kind of stuff. But I would love to hear, what are some of to stick with the Taylor Swift analogy, what are some of the eras that you've seen successful founders go through as they build that personal brand and sort of evolve publicly? What's that journey like?
It definitely starts with the mindset. So flipping the switch in your mind and being like, okay, I'm a thought leader and I'm going to think like a thought leader. I'm going to take action as a thought leader. And that's doing tactical things like elevating your website, elevating your headshots, making sure credentials are in your bios, making sure all that is good, creating content through the lens of a thought leader. And then from there, you get the good practice of putting that content out there on social media, and you start to get noticed and you'll get great feedback. And usually when we start working with clients to really up-level them into the next level of visibility and authority, usually they're at a place where they have a strong, solid foundation of social media content. They have the clear website. They have transformations. They have case studies. And so just really, getting really clear on what you offer people, getting those transformations. And then once you have that kind of strong scaling business, and you can speak about what you've learned, who you work with, the transformations you've facilitated, then it's a matter of getting on the bigger platforms, because the bigger platforms, it's kind of like pouring gasoline on the fire. So when you start to get PR, you're going to get a lot more eyeballs on you. So you want to have those foundations set up with the socials, with the clean, clear website, the lead magnet, the funnel set up. You want the business there. And so then we pour gasoline on the fire, and then we start to get you on bigger platforms. And so then it's a matter of podcast interviews, articles, and so being quoted as an expert. So if there's a journalist needing to speak to a nutritionist, then you want to start to become that person, that expert who's quoted in that article. It helps so much with SEO, with AI indexing, people searching on ChatGPT. It helps with authority, being able to add those media logos to your website. And of course, anyone reading those articles, the hundreds of thousands of people reading those articles are going to see your name, see you quoted in those. So articles are another one. And then TV is the last one. And TV can certainly it's just a huge credibility opportunity. When people see you on TV, it's like, wow, that person is definitely an authority. And TV reaches so many people. So that's kind of the trajectory, is building the foundations, really dialing in your owned platforms on social media and your website, and getting to a place where your business is scaling and you feel comfortable in your brand. And then the next step would be PR and getting way bigger visibility on other people's platforms.
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it. I would, if you're willing to share, I would love to hear a success story of someone you've worked with who has gotten the media placements where a wellness expert really went from, I'm not sure I want to do this, to owning that spotlight and really serving others in that way.
Definitely. Oh my gosh. Our client, Terry, she is the one who is a fitness and nutrition coach. And when she started working with us, she actually used to own a marketing agency. And she had recently had left the marketing agency, had gotten all of her qualifications for being a nutritionist, being a fitness coach. And then meanwhile, she went through this transformation because she herself, when she went through menopause, she hit a place where she realized she was so unhappy. Felt really unhealthy. She was overweight. And during menopause, she got her fitness and wellness just so much better. And she ended up losing 80 pounds during menopause. And that's what really sparked the trajectory for starting her new business as a fitness and nutrition coach. And so she owns a beautiful business. And she helps women going through midlife, going through menopause, who want to better their wellness and health. And so when we started working with her, she had her website, she was consistent on social media, but her whole brand of being the former CEO of this marketing agency, that was what was splashed all over Google. It was on her, ChatGPT. And so first of all, we wanted to get rid of all that. And we wanted to also elevate her as the fitness and nutrition coach that she is. And so that was a really fun transition for her, because it was kind of entering this new chapter and putting herself out there and being like, okay, I'm here. I am now this fitness and nutrition coach. And I have worked with all of these women and facilitated all these transformations that I can speak about. And I have these incredible retreats that I do. And she really wanted to put herself out there and also share her story of how she struggled and how then she lost a lot of weight and overcame her struggles. And so we really honed in on her story. We leveraged her unique expertise, her unique audience. And within just a couple months, we actually ended up getting her in Fit for Women magazine, which is on newsstands. And she got a whole spread. She was mentioned on the cover. And that was so exciting for her. And so, yeah, she was able to share her story and her expertise in that. We get her in places quoted as an expert in articles like Shape, Real Simple, Real Woman, Women's Health. And so she's constantly being quoted as an expert in all those articles, which helps with her SEO, her Google profile, her AI. It brings traffic to her website, traffic and new clients to work with her into her retreats. We get her on podcasts. She's done a couple of TV segments. And so it's really just, of course, like boosted her confidence in really owning this next kind of identity that she's now embodying in this next chapter of her life and this new business. And she's able to reach so many more women. She literally ended up selling out her retreat for over a year in advance, working with us, because so many people were finding her because she was putting herself out there. And now when you Google her, none of the marketing stuff comes up anymore. Like all the things from her old life are just gone. And now when you Google her, it's all of the incredible articles and interviews that she's in, sharing her expertise as a fitness and nutrition coach.
I love that. And I love that you were able to cast that vision for this is who you need to become in the marketplace. Like, this is how we're going to take this to market. That's fantastic. So I know everyone listening is wondering how to get in touch with you, where we can find you, where can we connect with you? Can you tell us where you are?
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram at Kayley Hamilton _ Kayley. And what you can do is send me a DM or a comment and just comment the word podcast. And I will send your audience my free guide. It's the 7 red flags to avoid when pitching yourself to a podcast. So if you are wanting to start to reach out, and this helps with just foundational things that you can start to look at, even if you don't feel like you're ready to pitch yourself yet, these red flags will really help you fix some things and start to elevate yourself as a thought leader. So you can DM me or comment the word podcast. I'll send you that free guide. And if you do want to work with us, with our PR agency, you can DM me the word visibility and I'll send you the link to book a call with me.
Love that. And of course, we'll link all of that up in the show notes on our website at saltmarketing.co. So you'll have easy access to that. But right now, Kayley, it is time for our lightning round questions. These are a few quick questions that I like to ask of every guest. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. So tell me, what's something about you that often surprises people?
I think the fact that I was called the shy girl in 6th grade. I think people are surprised by how painfully shy I used to be.
I love that. And I was really curious about your answer to that question, because for somebody who's won all the awards that you have and everything, like, what does surprise people about you? So what's your favorite thing about the work that you do?
I love uplifting purpose-driven founders and helping them reach the people who need them, because I was just so helped by people showing up, but also watching them step into their next level and accomplish their next big dreams. Like, it's just so rewarding to see them see themselves the way that I see them, because I feel like I just see my clients, I can see the star and the magic within them. And then when they start to get these big opportunities, it's mirrored back to them and they realize, wow, I can do this. I'm worthy of this. I'm meant to make a big impact. I'm making a big impact in helping so many people. So yeah, being able to do that really lights me up.
Oh, I love that. All right. Tell me, what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
The best piece of advice I've ever been given. Oh my gosh, this actually has to do with how I kind of found my husband. And it was, of course, advice from Dr. Joe Dispenza. And he doesn't always talk about calling in relationships, but on this one podcast episode, he did. And he talked about making a list. And this can be in your business too. This will work with anything. Make a list of all the things you want in a partner, specifics. And so I did that. And then he said, rather than trying to manifest and meditate on that list, go back, look at that list and become that person yourself. And I realized, whoa, I want to call in this incredible man. I have to be an incredible woman to be able to call in that incredible man. And so I realized I started just changing a few things and upgrading things about my habits and my lifestyle. And so, yeah, you can do that in your business. It's like, create the list of the dream thought leader that you want to be, or the dream thought leader that you really admire, and then look at that list and work on becoming that person yourself.
Love that. That's really good. All right. Last question. Who's inspiring you right now? What podcast you're listening to, or what's the best book that you've read recently?
Oh, so good. My client, MJ Renshaw, she has a new book called How to Cry. And she is a breathwork facilitator and expert. And she dives into the science behind the power of crying and releasing your tears and releasing your emotions, and how that can really help rewire just mental blocks, and how important it is to allow yourself to cry, and what different tears mean, and how it feels, why it feels really good after you've let out a cry, and why that is so helpful for you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. So that's a book that I am loving right now, is How to Cry.
I did not expect that answer. That's a good one, though. And even giving yourself permission to cry. I like that. That's interesting. Yeah. Kayley, thank you so much. This has been a fantastic conversation. Thank you for joining me on Worth Your Salt today.
Thank you so much for having me, Jennifer. This was so lovely. I appreciate it.
I also want to thank you, Salt Nation, for joining us today. If you have a great success story, I'd love to talk with you and share your story. So tell us about why you're worth your salt by emailing us at grow@saltmarketing.co. Of course, be sure to subscribe to Worth Your Salt so you never miss an episode. Finally, leave us a review or give the show a handful of stars wherever you get your content. That's all for this episode of Worth Your Salt. Be sure to join me again next time. In the meantime, let's get out there and shake things up.